What's going on, guys? Zach Evanish here from the Underground Strength Gym, and in this video, going to be talking about the training and the development of youth athletes into high school athletes as well as collegiate athletes and beyond. So on my desk here, I've got a few books. Soviet Training and Recovery Methods, right here. Super Training by Mel Siff, basically the Bible. And then right here, we got Louis Simmons, pretty short book, The Rule of Three. And the reason why this conversation or this topic comes about is yesterday was training a couple of kids who I've trained on and off, most of them on, very little off, through the past few years. And they are now ninth graders and a sophomore in high school. And the three of them did a sumo deadlift in season, football players, for 2 sets of 2 with 315, with more in the tank. They could have done a third and fourth rep and no grinding. And so what's interesting is they're 15 years old. So we're talking about how they were training now compared to when they were in middle school with me and how badly they wanted to do other lifts. They saw other kids doing benching and floor press and, tire flips and you name it. And they mentioned another athlete who said, Zach never lets us do anything. And now they understood, but they didn't, when they said never lets us do anything, they looked at it like, why can't I at age 12 deadlift or do this big lift or that big lift? And the real answer is, it depends. Some 12-year-olds are built like 14, 15, 16-year-olds and vice versa. And so I look at their training age, what is their experience? I look at their biological age, and I also look at their chronological age. And so training age is what's their experience. Biological age is what does their body look like. You're a 12-year-old. Do you look like you're 12? Do you look like you're 15? I've got some 15-year-olds that weigh 80 to 90 pounds. I've got some 15-year-olds that weigh 200 plus pounds and look like young men. And then, of course, we have the chronological age. What is age appropriate for these kids? And then something that people don't really talk about too much that would probably fall under training age is the emotional readiness or their emotional age. And so young kids don't have the wherewithal to do a heavy barbell lift, to feel, is my back flat? Is my back round? I'm struggling here. Do I let go of the bar? Should I even struggle? Should I have stopped? And you might say, well, that's what a coach does. Absolutely. But sometimes in groups, you have kids doing stuff, and if your eye is not directly on them for every 1/1,000,000th of a second, they can choose to do otherwise. And just through reviewing these books, and no need for me to even review these books, guys. I've been training and coaching for 25 years, training 31 years. I know what these younger athletes need, and what I've said is that I'm not going to basically do things just to pump business into my gym and have kids do exercises that are not safe or appropriate for them. And now, let's say another freshman shows up or sophomore, he or she will not be sumo deadlifting. And will they have that foundation to sumo deadlift 315? That's the question, right? These kids have been built up through the rule of three, playing multiple sports, lots of general physical preparation. Our whole program is centered around athleticism. So no matter your sport that you choose, you're an athlete. You can run, jump, move with agility, quickness, flexibility. You're strong. You also have mental and emotional durability. You can handle tough and gritty practice sessions. You can overcome and rebound from loss. So if you have maybe a tough day or you're struggling in the gym, we teach you how to rebound emotionally to finish on a positive. Athletes need those things to apply to the competitive game, the competitive arena, and also to the entire season and also in life. And so we don't train young kids as if they're miniature adults. We don't train young kids as if they're 18 or 19-year-olds, high-level athletes. And when I look through these books like Super Training or The Rule of Three or any of the old Soviet books, this book was written in 1990, guys. It's the year 2020. We're 2 months away from 2021. What was going on in that book 31 years ago, guys, all right, 1990, is still ahead of what many coaches are doing today in America. And so when people ask, why do you learn from the Russians? Because they built a system of training. Whereas in America, we have basically parents who say, well, I played football, I played baseball, you will play that. Whereas in the Soviet system and the Eastern Europeans, my dad grew up in Romania, they would assess the athletes at young ages, ages 8, 9, 10, even younger, because they had to see who was going into swimming, gymnastics, boxing, track and field, basketball, water polo, wrestling, judo, whatever the sport was, the body structure and their genetics and what they were best suited for physically and emotionally is what sport they went into. For me, I have a long-term outlook on training athletes. So when I look at them, I don't look and see, what can I do with this kid now? Can I get the best Instagram or YouTube video and get him to do a shitty trap bar deadlift, a shitty power clean, and max out on it? Why would I? It's just, if it's not good for the kid, I'm not doing it. And so our younger athletes, when they've developed appropriately in middle school, they might do a very light trap bar deadlift, but they won't add weight to the bar, or maybe they'll add 5 pounds to the bar. They'll do front squats, but they're not going to do the lifting that an experienced athlete is doing with us. And guess what? It takes time. Just like going to school and becoming great at algebra, becoming great at reading comprehension and writing, it takes time. And so that is the approach I take with these athletes. How can I give them longevity in their sport, keep them healthy, and allow them to utilize their sport and leverage their sport for the next level, which is high school, college, hopefully getting a college scholarship, competing at the Division I, Division II, Division III level. And so I look at things, what is the best thing to do for the kids? And the best thing to do for the kids is in middle school, they don't need to be doing heavy power lifts because they're not ready for it. Heavy barbell lifts, they are not ready for it. They need to be using medicine balls, basic gymnastics training, lots of different calisthenics, all kinds of jumping and sprinting. We go outside and play games like ultimate football and ultimate frisbee because we're developing athleticism. That's the bottom line. So at the underground, I'm doing what's best for the kids, not doing what is best for social media or what somebody insists upon doing. We call this kind of, you're wasting the silver bullet, right? I know of kids that were just dominant in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, but then other athletes who took a long-term, smarter approach surpassed them. And some of these kids, think about it, why are we maxing out and lifting heavy in middle school? You're going to be doing that in your later years in high school, and you're going to be doing it in college. How many years can this kid technically handle with that? Probably not many. And so the bottom line is, these young athletes, they're not miniature adults. They don't need to get trained the way we see crazy fads and gimmicks on the internet. They need to be trained the right way. And sure, we could say, oh, the Soviets keep getting banned for steroids, this and that. The bottom line is they created the smartest system of training kids. And yeah, they're so crazy competitive. Those people at the highest levels, they cheated. But you want to know where the best coaches came from? That Soviet era, because they studied and researched, and you would have sport coaches who would get things like a PhD in wrestling, a PhD in the long jump, a PhD in swimming. They studied the biomechanics, the emotional needs, the physical needs, the entire training umbrella for a specific sport. They went, an inch wide and a mile deep. Whereas I think today, unfortunately, we see a lot of these younger athletes doing exercises that are unsafe, that are dangerous, that are inappropriate for them, emotionally inappropriate for them, for a training age and chronological age. And so the bottom line is, I have a very black and white answer as to why I'm doing something for the kids. And it's like this. Is it in the best interest of the kids? Yes. I'll move down that road. If it is not in the best interest or not safe for the kids, then I will not go down that road. And that's how we need to look and training young athletes, a long-term approach and breaking things down slowly. And if I, look through these books and I read about kind of the timeline it takes, and it's interesting, like the long-range development of youth athletes. Right here, I'm going to read an excerpt to you guys. Prop up this camera. That's what happens when you're the one-man army here. In the office, gazillion training books, always good. Okay. In order to succeed at a high level, you must begin the preparation 4 to 6 years beforehand. What does that mean? It's going to take 4 to 6 years to get to a higher level. I did not start wrestling until 9th grade, high school. I did not feel like I had a legit level of competitiveness until I was a freshman in college and I was no longer in high school. It took, for me, 4 years. I trained the wrong way. I didn't have a coach for strength and conditioning. But that goes to show you, it takes time. None of this massive success is going to happen in 3 months, which is also why I don't even train somebody who's asking me about training for 1 month. What does that do? Nothing. It shows that you're not committed, and you think as a parent that something magnificent is going to happen in 1 month. It's ridiculous. It's people looking for shortcuts, and success does not have a shortcut. Success certainly has smarter roads traveled. The later years, it says, the advanced athlete has no time for general physical preparation. Well, in America, I think about this. When I got to Lehigh and Rutgers, I had to teach all state wrestlers how to do a full body weight squat. I had to teach Division I athletes, or I had to train them before they could touch a barbell. Many of them could not hold a stable spine, not because they weren't good listeners or bad kids. They weren't strong enough, which means they did a high level of skill work, high enough to become an all-state wrestler, but did not do the physical preparation that would have taken them from all-state to state champion, or that would have brought them in better prepared. The later years must be spent owning the specific sport skills necessary. So what's the most important thing about the sport when they specialize? Well, keep the main thing the main thing. What is the sport? I tell the basketball players I train, what's the most important thing? They say, get stronger. No, be a great basketball player. I will get you stronger, faster, more agile, more explosive, better conditioned. It's up to you and your coach to get you better skilled. In the USSR, there are special coaches experienced in discovering talented youth athletes. That means, what is this athlete built for, physically and emotionally? And then they move that athlete into that arena of training. All long-range preparation is divided into stages, with all the stages fitting together, each one building on the previous one. Not sure you guys can see that. What does that mean? It means you don't get to start doing Olympic lifts. You don't start doing powerlifting. You begin with gymnastics. You begin with light kettlebells, medicine balls, band training. You walk on your hands. You jump. You utilize the jump rope. Why is it that high school kids cannot jump rope? It's crazy. Why is it that high-level wrestlers could only do a cartwheel to one side but not the other? They haven't been trained. They've just done what's convenient and comfortable for them. To reach the highest level demands proper selection and training at a young age, which means when you're in middle school, you train appropriately. It builds you up for what's going to happen in high school, which is 4 years of training. Why would we want a kid to be deadlifting 6-7 years before college? You know, the body needs to be preserved. We need longevity. A couple other excerpts. For young athletes ages 10 to 12 years, coaches can accurately predict the future physical characteristics, height, weight, bone length, physical work capability, etc. If coaches wait until the athlete reaches puberty, a great deal of time is lost, and it also becomes difficult to predict future physical traits. That means before they're involved in puberty, play multiple sports, do and get involved with multiple movement activities, even if it's just on a recreational level. Because if you're waiting until they get to high school to do any physical activity, I'm getting high school kids that can't jog a quarter mile or do one push-up, which is dangerous. Being weak is dangerous. All right. Athletes have from the age of 10 to 22 to perfect their sport form, which is different than musicians, scientists, engineers, and artists who have a lifetime. So as an athlete, you don't have forever. So we need to build them during those youth stages, build them during the puberty and teenage years, build them into their post-teenage years collegiate level. Okay? Characteristics common for all sports include good health and physical growth. Hey, can you have good health when you eat crap and eat a bunch of processed foods, or skip meals and show up at 6 p.m. with nothing but a piece of bread and butter in your belly? No. Good health and physical growth, personal character, and enthusiasm for hard work. That's a big one. The capability to learn technique quickly. Adaptation to training load. Ability to cope with fatigue and fast recovery after the training load. You only get that if you have a wide base of fitness and you are active year-round. Okay? So the athletes that come and go, they never adapt. They go like this. They get stronger, they get worse. They get stronger, they get worse. And then they talk about special testing. So that's a pretty big rant for me, guys. The key is there's a certain way and a safe way and effective way to train young athletes, and that's what I do. I'm not going to follow what other big businesses and sports centers do. Even though that builds the business, I'm going to do what's best for the kids. And not enough people are reading and learning about what it really takes to turn kids into great athletes. That's it, guys. ZachEvanish.com, UndergroundStrengthCert.com, UndergroundStrengthGym.com. If you want a consultation, that's available at ZachEvanish.com, all that information. If you're local, you could reach out to us at the Underground Strength Gym. We're in New Jersey. Talk to you.